Hello and welcome. I'm Raziel, and it's because I'm starting to review a lot more starter sets and box sets. I thought I'd give you my methodology. I've done the last one for this month. The next month's going to be Armored Clash, obviously, and whether or not it'll be the Age of Sigma one, the new one, or a different box. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's going to be next month. So next month's definitely Armored Clash, and I will be buying it. And maybe the one after that, Age of Sigma, but I want to kind of lay off Games Workshop for a while before I have to review that box. So, anyway, I thought I'd give you my methodology. Now, first things first, it's always going to be I'll put my money where my mouth is. I am not going to accept free gifts. I'm not going to accept free product. It will never be, oh, Mantic gave me this box to review. It'll be like, I bought this box. It's always going to be me spending my money for the review. The reason I believe this is because it gives me a proper sense of how much it's worth and whether it's not its value for money. And I just got to kind of preface this entire video is I'm not ragging on Games Workshop in this video. I really am not. But unfortunately, their starter set is kind of one of the worst ones for 40k. I know people seem to think it's a good one, but unfortunately, when it comes to comparisons, that kind of hits almost most bad points. There will be points where I'll bring it up as a good point, but most of all, it's going to sound negative. But like I said, it's for comparison reasons only, not ragging on Games Workshop, okay? Anyway, so first things first, I always look at how well it looks balanced. Now, this is kind of weird because this is from like an outsider looking in, someone who's starting the hobby and really getting into it and kind of seeing the box for the first time and wondering whether or not it looks fair, it looks balanced. Now, the two games which are worst at this, like I said, outside looking in, this is not someone who's played the game for a while and knows the rules, outside looking in, is the 40k starter set and the Judge Dredd miniature game. Now, the thing is, when you look at these two boxes, they both look very one-sided. You only have 11 Space Marines versus 5 Tyranids, and it looks, and with the Tyranids having a big monster as well, it very looks one-sided. And the same with the Judge Dredd starter set as well. You get 2 street judges and 8 gang members. However, on the counter side of that is how well does it look balanced to someone who knows the game or knows the lore. And when we look at Judge Dredd now, we see that, yeah, that looks absolutely balanced for a game for Judge Dredd. 2 street judges versus a small gang, yeah, that's not going to be an issue because you know what street judges can do and you know exactly how they work and how they respond to gangs. Most street judges literally have to respond on their own to bigger gangs. And if they added Judge Dredd into that on his own, by the way, it would be so unbalanced. It wouldn't even be funny at this point. So yeah, it looks balanced if you know the lore, but like I said, if you don't know the lore, it looks very unbalanced. Not saying it's a bad game, by the way. I'm not. I'm just saying what it looks like. Unfortunately, with the Space Marine starter set, even if you know the lore, you kind of feel that it's unbalanced. 10 Termagants could quite easily wipe out 5 Space Marines, even with Infernus guns or whatever, heavy flamethrowers. And you've got the Winds Leapers, you have the Psychophage as well to add to that, as well as the Alpha Warrior Prime or Alpha Prime. It still looks, on a lore perspective, unbalanced. You see? See, when something's well balanced, it looks balanced from the start as well. So, of course, I'm going to mention Warless Exodus, favourite game and all that. And what you get in there is you get 9 Tesla bots, 2 Iron Eagles, Nikola Tesla, and 2 other named characters for the Union. And for the Enlightened, you get Gustav Eiffel, 2 other main characters. You get 3 Monostriders or Monocavs, and 2 Iron Horses. And well, there is a lot less models. It kind of makes itself up because on the Enlightened side, it's all bigger models. It's all bigger bases. They are a lot harder to kill and it ends up looking balanced just because of the size of the models on the opposite side. So it looks more balanced. And I'm not just saying, oh, it's got less models, because once again, if we go back to the starter set for 40k, you have a big monster for the Tyranids. You see? That's what also makes the Tyranid side seem more powerful, because you have a big monster there. So something like big vehicles attached to, the opposite side ends up looking more balanced, because you can say, yes, this has more models, but they're all basically infantry, where this has more vehicles. And it still looks pretty well balanced. So it's like 3 Tesla bots to each vehicle. And you've got Nikola Tesla versus Gustav Eiffel. It still remains looking balanced. And Kings of Mantic in particular are very good at this. They tend to do sort of similar numbers, and keep the sort of similar basic infantry and something special and a HQ. So that remains balanced by numbers as well, and what the units are like. So that's what it should be. So it should look balanced from the start. The next bit is the rules that are included. And once again, though I will actually talk about Conquest on this one as well, you don't get all the rules for 40k. You don't get a big rulebook like you would for the Judge Dredd game, which you get it's absolutely fantastic rulebook. You get a full rulebook for Wild West Exodus. You get a full rulebook for Kings of War. Wizard of Conquest only gives you a quick reference sheet in their main 2-player game, which is the Sorcerer Kingdoms and the City States. So having just those two having a couple of data sheets, quick reference sheets, kind of doesn't feel like you're getting all the rules. Same with 40k, and like I said, the other games you get the full rulebook. Wild West Exodus, you not only get the full rulebook, you get also all the lore. Kings of War, you get a full rulebook, and that's it. You don't get the lore in that book, unless you buy one of the older ones, but that won't have all the data sheets. However, the way Conquest redeems itself is you can download all the rules for free. You can also do that for Kings of War. And all the data sheets for free as well. And that's the other thing, the data sheets. If you only got the data sheets for the models at hand, and not all of them in the starter set, it doesn't really give you any inspiration to further build the army. Wild West Exodus doesn't do this. I'm not going to excuse it, but again, you can download all the data sheets for free. Which is absolutely if there's another option where you don't have to spend money to do it, that isn't as good, but it's one of those, at least you can do it for free. You're not paying for anything else. And finally on this video is do you need to buy something else? Do you need to buy anything else to play the game? Now, I know I've mentioned this before. Kings of War and kind of suffers from a slight problem with this by not including dice. It's my only peeve with Kings of War. It really is. It's my only peeve. Not including dice means you have to buy something to play the game. It's not as egregious as having to buy a codex, a full £30, almost £40 book, to buy a dozen dice, because the dice are really easy to get. But I do still believe you shouldn't have to buy the dice. You shouldn't have to buy the dice to play the game. They should be included. And they don't have any rulers either. And Kings of War and Conquest, Wild West Exodus and Conquest do this, and so does Judge Dredd. Again, this is bonus points to them because again, it's just about playing the game out of the box, and that's it. Now, that's how I look at starter sets and how I review them. These are my tight criteria for this. Now, the real final point is value for money. This always seems a little bit weird to me because they're so varied in prices. Judge Dredd and 40k are the cheapest starter sets you can buy. There's no doubt about it, they are the cheapest. And you can look at the Judge Dredd starter set and go, 60 quid for 10 models, the full rulebook, and everything you need to play it. You can go, well, actually, that's kind of steep. And whereas with 40k, it's again about 65 quid, 67.50, and you go, okay, that many Tyranids, I can cope with spending that money on, because it's obviously a massive saving for Tyranids, and it's a decent army for Tyranids. However, you go, yeah, honestly, that's all it really is for. And again, something like £94 for the Wild West Exodus box, and the £180 for the Conquest box. Wild West Exodus was like bang on the money. That's exactly how much you should be willing to spend for a starter set like that. And you can kind of look at Conquest, which is always harder to judge because the models are bigger, and go, do you know what, 180 quid? That's a bit steep for my pockets, and it often ends up being better for you to buy which army you want anyway, and not the 2-player starter set, and that's it. So when it comes to value for money, it's more of a very objective point of view, and if you're buying it for both armies, you might feel like you're getting a better deal. But if you're only buying it for one army, sometimes it's just better to start your wargaming career, let's call it that, and continue with just buying the some units or a 1-player starter set to go with it, and that's it. Anyway, like I said, this is just kind of what my mind goes through when I do a review. Like, I try to be as objective as I can be. I have these very strict rules when it comes to starter sets, and I try my best to adhere to them, and I try to be absolutely unbiased at all times. It's just where I am. I don't even when I do my WWX or Wild West Exodus review, which I'm going to be redoing, and I will be buying a brand new box for that review alone, even though I got that box. It's something I try my best to be. I try my best to be unbiased. I don't try to be overly critical unless something is, to my opinion, doesn't hit any box when it comes to a good starter set. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I hope you all have a lovely day. Hope you have a nice day. If it's sunny out, go and enjoy it. If not, paint your models. And I'll see you in the next one. Okay, it says Raylan Games down below. If you wish to save up to 20% on your wargaming experience, they do lots and lots of companies there. Mantic, Wild West Exodus, obviously, because they make it. Warhammer, Games Workshop, Conquest, loads of there to choose from. And there's Forbidden Planet for comics, DVDs, mangas, etc. There's my merchandise, stickers, bags, t-shirts, etc. My comics, if you want to see Little Red Riding Hood go ham on a load of cyborg werewolves, or you can get the horror anthology where a monster decides to mutilate a load of teenagers. There is also Skyforge, never forget Skyforge, good friend of mine, and finally, Patreon because business. Bye bye.